Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK Journey video. In this video we're going to be talking about the top performing teams for the Skyclops Dream Realm boss on epic difficulty. So as of right now, the overall top performing team is going to be the team that Old Grey Gamer shared with us, which is Talene and Lily May as your two damage dealers. As you can tell, Talene deals by far the most amount of damage, 18.2 billion damage. One reason Talene is really effective in Skyclops is she will clear the minions really quickly and allow you to get back to attacking the boss, which is really important, as well as just her damage, continuous damage output is really high, even if you're just talking about damage onto the boss alone. Lily May is a secondary damage dealer here, who also, of course, is going to hit really hard. Mikola is because if you have Mikola and Coco together in this team, Coco is going to keep your team alive for the whole fight. There's no risk of dying. And Mikola is sometimes it's a bit of a more offensive option compared to Smokey, because both Smokey and Mikola will provide the attack buff to your team. Mikola will provide 20% and Smokey also 20% to whoever he lands it on. But Mikola has can apply a higher haste buff with her Courage Sphere, up to 40 haste to her allies, and also she can apply combat fury so that if the allies go into like melee range of the boss, they can have that burn effect onto the boss for more damage. Rainier to increase the damage that the boss is receiving, and Coco for the damage reduction, because otherwise just one healer, for example, for this team is not enough. You're gonna have to run a healer and Coco. Smokey can also be run instead of Mikola, but it did a little bit worse. And most importantly, we have the Tide Call spell as the artifact. And this gives really good stats, really high amount of HP, and two high offensive stats, crit and haste. And more importantly than that, it is that every 4 ultimates you cast, if you have plus 20 upgrade or above, you're going to trigger the Tide Call effect, the activation. And that is going to apply a debuff onto the boss, which is going to have the boss receive 25% increased damage and also have lower attack. Although the lower attack doesn't really matter, you have the protection of your team. But the increased damage for 4 seconds by 25%, it's a pretty big debuff. And then not to mention as well, Tide Call spell deals some damage of its own. So that is why people did testing with Verdant spell, Resonating, and Tidal, and Tidal was the best. The second best is Verdant, because in a Talene team like this, you don't want Resonating spell on the Talene, because she's going to continuously cast her ultimate, so you're not going to get as much value from Resonating spell. Resonating spell is valuable for heroes who have to repeatedly recast their ultimate, and then they can get value of the energy generation and the attack buff whenever they cast their ultimate. So that is why it's just not the optimal choice for when Talene is in the backline position. You do not want Resonating spell, better to go for the other ones. And so in total, this team has actually 3 ways of increasing the damage the boss receives. One is Rainier's Mythic Plus debuff, one is Tidal spell each time it activates for 4 seconds, and then Lily May as well. On her epic level magic charms, I think it's a 10% increased damage received by her target, and that is going to be the boss here. And that, I think, is by your whole team, 10% increased damage. And Mikola, just the perfect offensive sort of support for increasing your damage slightly. I believe she has the combat fury on herself, which should be burning the boss because she's in melee range. Lily May is also in a position where she is receiving the buffs from the Courage Sphere of Mikola. The haste buff, which increases her attack speed and her skill casting frequency. So in total, I think this team got definitely over 30 billion damage. I think around 31 maybe billion damage. And that's a really impressive score. But after this, I'm going to show you other options. So for example, my team. And then we're going to do free-to-play options in the end, like some free-to-play testing. But I think the team I'm running, well, we'll get to it when we get there. Okay, so 1 second left and just over 31.4 billion damage with this team. And that is pretty crazy. Huge amount of damage output from Talene. Talene is really made for the Skyclops boss because of how quickly she clears the minions, the summons as well. Okay, now looking at the team that I've run, my highest record is going to be, well, we can actually probably take a look at it in the formation here. 27.7 billion damage with, this is going to be the formation. So it is with Mikola, but we're going to try with Smokey after this to show that if you don't have Mikola, Smokey should work just fine as well. Mikola again is going to be a little bit better because you're going to be able to apply your Combat Fury to Odie, who gets position swapped into melee range and then will burn the boss with the Combat Fury. also she'll be buffing up both Lily May and Odie with higher haste than Smokey would be buffing, slightly higher haste, and so that is another reason why Mikola is a bit better. And again, Coco for the damage reduction. So basically, this team is exactly like the other team. However, you have Odie instead of Talene. And Odie is like the free-to-play or like the more budget alternative of Talene. Both deal magic damage, high boss-oriented damage. Yeah, so he's a good replacement. But if you're going to go for Odie, then I've tried with Tidal Spell. It didn't work as well. It was much better with Resonating Spell. And anyway, Resonating Spell just makes sense with Odie. Allows you to cast your ultimates faster. And each time you cast your ultimate, you're going to be gaining that 35% attack boost to increase your damage. And yeah, Odie is the major damage deal of this team. But Lily May is really close. So we'll take a look at this replay. And then we can do testing with Smokey instead of Mikola. So Odie up in the front, Mikola is about to cast her Curse Sphere, and Lily May in a perfect position because she's actually, well, she ended up just perfectly because it's right behind Mikola, which means she's guaranteed to get the haste buff from the Curse Sphere. Odie dealing damage in the front, Coco going to try to protect the team, can play it at 2 times speed I think. And Lily May has a lot of damage from her ultimate cast, however the problem is it can only activate on the enemies when they're casting their ultimate, and you're gonna notice in these fights they don't cast their ultimate that frequently. Like, they take a long time to charge up their energy, so the output like of Lily May's damage could actually even be higher if the bosses for some reason had a higher rate of casting their ultimates. But anyway, Honor Ruiner is control, giving 20% attack to the entire team, which is the same amount of attack that Smokey would be granting. And yeah, and they do pretty well of clearing the summons, and I think the combat fear of Mikola probably makes a difference for that. I think that would probably burn the adjacent summons of the Cyclops as well, I would imagine, and that would be another reason why Mikola is a good option here for this boss. So in total, my best score got 62% of the boss's health, 27.7 billion, which is, yeah, it's obviously going to be lower than the Talene team, but still pretty good, 62%. It's a really good score. Okay, and if you don't have Talene, that is probably going to be your next best option. Okay, now next up, we're going to take a look at replacing Mikola for Smokey. And just like I always mention in these videos, Mikola can always be replaced for Smokey. They're both healers that provide attack buff and haste buff. Rainier can be replaced for Thorin because Rainier has a debuff to increase the damage the boss receives. Thorin has a damage to increase the damage the boss receives with Soul Plunder. And Thorin can also have some decent damage output, especially if he's the focused target. Odie, a lot of people will have, so I won't talk about replacement for him. And Coco as well. It can be, both Odie and Coco can work at a lower level of ascension. We're going to go for the same team, same setup with Resonating Spell, but just have the Smokey here instead. Hopefully he doesn't have any issue surviving. Yeah, Coco and Odie can both be working well at a low ascension. So even if you are like a newer player or a free-to-play player and you don't have Mythic Plus heroes yet, you can run them. Lily May you can replace for, I think we'll try some replacements for Lily May. But I think probably what would be the best option is it's either Corin or Merrily. Both are good damage dealers, and in this fight, because you survive the entire fight, I'm kind of leaning towards Merrily, because when you can stack up throughout the fight and get her true damage on board, and then she can just continuously deal true damage with her normal attacks, if you're surviving the whole fight, it can work out well for you. Like right there, so the Coco shielding is kind of helping me survive from the Mythic Plus upgrade of Coco, but even if you didn't have that, the damage reduction should be good enough as well. So if you take a look at the damage score, it's very similar. It will obviously be lower than Mikola because Mikola is a more offensive option, but not lower by much. Like, this is almost 60% of the boss's health, 26.7 billion damage, just like 1 billion less damage in comparison. And Lily May and Odie both did around about the same amount of damage. Smokey didn't contribute much damage, and that is to be expected. Okay, now what we're going to try to do is we will now replace both Rainier and Lily May, assuming that you're at a really lower level, or for example, maybe you didn't recoup for Lily May, you're still working on Rainier to Mythic Plus, but let's say you have Merrily at your Mythic Plus. So we can do a run of this and Thorin up in the front. We'll do Resonating, I think again, yeah, Resonating Spell on the Odie, he can be in the back, there's no need for us to be up in the front anymore. And let's watch it on 2 times speed. And then we'll compare this to replacing Merrily for Corin and see which one does better. So the thing with Corin, if he gets a perfectly timed ultimate, he can clear the summons of Skyclops more effectively than Merrily, which could give you an advantage. But apart from that, the damage output, raw damage from Merrily onto a single target is going to be higher than Corin, most likely. So that is why I suspect Merrily is going to be doing better than Corin. In these teams again, you could try Tide Call spell, but I think when you have the OD in the back, Resonating Spell is just too powerful for him. We could have even given Resonating Spell to the Merrily, but I suspect that OD is going to be dealing the highest damage, so it's better to have your highest damage dealer getting buffed up with the Resonating Spell. And yeah, and it doesn't have to be on Merrily anyway, because Merrily will gain her true damage after enough allies as well cast their ultimate. As soon as 6 times ultimates have been casted, not only your own, so even Resonating Spell on OD helps add up for that. Okay, almost 50%, so quite a bit lower compared to the other option, because we're missing out on 2 heroes here. We're missing out on Lily May and Rainier at Mythic Plus, and so yeah, the damage is expected to be lower, but it's by 10% lower, right? OD still did around about the same damage. Merrily did a lot as well, contributed a lot of damage, and Thorin, decent amount of damage of his own. So I'm actually pretty happy with the results of that team. Now we will try Corin instead of Merrily, and play Corin over here. Again, Resonating Spell, because OD is such a hard-hitting damage dealer. We want to ramp him up as much as we can. Yeah, so overall I'm pretty happy with these teams. I think they're really good and good options. And I can't really think of anything that would be better than this. Scarlita used to be used occasionally in Skyclops, but first of all, I think most people may not have Scarlita, and the other problem is Scarlita just was mainly used here to clear the summons of Skyclops, and it was about the timing. And Corin can also do that same job of clearing the summons of the Skyclops if he gets a well-timed ultimate, and he can clear them just as effectively as Scarlita can if he can ultimate in time. But it's the same thing for Scarlita, because Scarlita, but I think with Scarlita she saves her ultimate until the minions spawn. I believe she doesn't choose to cast her ultimate onto Skyclops. So yeah, this was weaker than the Merrily team, so definitely Merrily would be your best replacement for Lily May if you don't have her. And this goes for a lot of different Dream Realm teams. That if you don't have Lily May, you can replace for Merrily, and your damage will be lower, but still you can be a bit competitive. So overall, that is pretty much it for all of the top performing Dream Realm teams for the epic difficulty of Skyclops. If we take a look at the leaderboards right now, yeah, Worcester has a Talene team. So if we take a look at the leaderboards, we are ranked 2 in the district. And let's say we went down to the Smoky team, we would be at 26.7 billion. That would put us rank 3 in the district as of right now, but more people are left to attack. But not that many more people. And if we went down to the Thorin Merrily version, I think it was 22 billion damage, right? Then we're going to be kicked out of top 20 of the district. Maybe we'll be in the top 50 of district at the end. So yeah, I mean, if you're going to be running Merrily instead of Lily May, then you're going to be around about this rank top, like, yeah, you're probably not going to make top 10 of your server, but it still is a good option for you. You're still going to be able to get off a lot of damage, but Lily May is better. Merrily is probably the next best replacement if you don't have her. Yeah, and of course you can run, for example, if you have Rainier Mythic Plus but not Lily May, you can run that same formation we showed and just swap out the Lily May's position for Merrily. But anyway guys, that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to join my AFK Journey Discord server, I leave a link to that Discord in the description of all of my videos. And over there basically we share information on all the different game modes, and you can ask me questions. I check Discord very regularly, and I'll try to get back to all the questions if you at me in the Discord. So thank you guys, I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys hopefully in the next video. And until then, everyone, peace out for now, and thank you for watching.